have a table there selling my junk. I mean, my really great magic. And if you want to talk to me about anything that has happened, that would be a good time. Because I'll just be hanging out answering questions, selling really good magic. So today's a sad day, if you haven't heard already. Johnny Thompson passed away yesterday at 84.
Sad news.
Yeah, and he, you know, me and Gene was talking, we were really lucky that Johnny came out so many times for Magic in the Rockies. You know, he was the godfather of magic. He knew everyone, he was friendly with everyone, no matter how big or small you were. His whole act was, his whole close-up act, if you hadn't seen it, was just, this is the way Max Malini did the trick. This is the way Di Vernon did the trick. I remember I got to spend dinner with him one time, and everything I showed him, he said, "Oh, that's really good. You know, that's like something I used to do back in the '60s. I have an improvement on that." For everything I did, including the stuff I thought I made up. Johnny Thompson. But yeah, and he pretty much performed till the day he died, from my understanding. About 3 weeks ago, my friend Tim Wise has Las Vegas Stars of Magic. It's a close-up room that they now have at the Majestic in Las Vegas. And Johnny was the second performer. That was like 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And we brought the house down.
Super.
And my understanding is he was backstage. I'm not sure whose show he was at. He collapsed.
He was
there.
filming, and they were rehearsing for Foolish.
Okay. Yeah, they were rehearsing for Fool Us. Yeah, and he collapsed backstage.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I just want to have a moment of silence for Johnny Thompson. Sorry, that was a bit of a buzzkill.
Bernard is friends with Johnny too.
Yeah.
Okay. And Gene here is going to introduce our lecturer.
I think actually before he introduces me, we should all clap to Johnny. He's someone that
Will be missed.
Yeah.
Johnny was a force in magic, and he will be missed. So I've had an opportunity in a short period of time to get to know the lecturer. We had a conversation on the ride over here. He's been into magic since 2006, but doing this sort of thing since 2016. He hails from Rio, yeah. So that's nice. We get so fortunate to call him.
Intercontinental.
Yes, from Brazil. So anyway, I want to tell you what he talked to me about, and that's the kind of thing I like. Is he's got confidence in magic to the likes of Alan Ackerman, Howard Hamburg, Danny D'Ortiz. These are his friends, mentors, and that sort of thing. So that's a great pedigree. Matter of fact, he's planning to see them again at a convention in Mexico. So Bernardo is going to show you some great stuff. He showed me a couple of things. Excellent. I know you're going to like it. Give it up for Bernardo, would you?
Thank you guys for having me here. It's my pleasure to be here. And by the way, since I'm Brazilian, I might forget a few words. So I hopefully you guys understand everything that I say. And if you don't, please ask me because I'm not sure if you guys understand it or not. Is that okay for you guys?
Sounds good.
And well, first, for me, there are very, very important things in magic. If you came here to see magic, to learn new tricks, new effects, sorry to disappoint you guys. This is not the lecture for that. Although I will teach some effects, but this is not the main reason of this lecture. The main reason of this lecture is to teach about psychology and theory in magic. That because of course if you see a trick, then you say okay, I like it or I don't, and then I won't do it or I will. But if you understand all the concepts that I'm saying for you guys, then you can apply to any kind of magic you do. It doesn't matter which one. It doesn't matter if you do kids show, if you do stage magic, if you do close up. And so I think this is the most important part of magic, in my opinion. And of course, this lecture is divided in 3 parts. The first one is a mini show that I will just show some effects, so that way you can experience what I want you to. And then in the second part, I will show exactly how I did all of these effects and why they are in that position, why they're in that order. What are all the theories and the subtleties that I put into it. And on the third part of the lecture, then basically, I'm not sure if we have time for that, but if we do, then we have a third part of the lecture that you can ask anything you want. I can talk, if you want, I can talk about more psychology. If you want me to show more effects, I can show more effects. If you want me to show ideas, I can show ideas. If you want me to talk about football in Brazil, I can do it. It will be hard because I don't know much of it, but I can. Because basically the lecture is yours, so whatever you guys want. So that's it. Shall we start for the first part?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Good. So thank you. My mom does this all the time. Well, I need who have decks of cards. I want to know who have decks of cards with you. You do have. You have one. Okay. Can you throw it? Yeah. Thank you. Who have? Oh, just let me see the backs of the cards. Okay. Blue. I will ask for it in a moment. Okay.
You want a red one?
What?
You
No,
want
I have already. Just to see, because later on I will ask for different colors so that way it doesn't shuffle. Because one time I did the lecture and the cards were shuffled together. I was like, oh, I'm not sure who it is. Here there are some cards are clearly cleaner, and they're so I didn't hear for sure. And do you mind helping me?
Yeah.
Please give me a big round of applause. And do you mind helping me as well? You stay until the end of the lecture, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. Because, good. So I tried. Since this is your deck, okay, then, oh, is it complete by the way? Or is it the Jokers and so or anything like that?
I don't know.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
She doesn't play
Oh.
the full deck.
Well, you don't know if it is a full.
I don't play the full deck, sorry, it's just a joke.
All right. So, please come closer. Come closer. Yeah. And you come closer as well. So I would do something that you guys never ever seen in your life, for sure. You never seen. It uses 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and 21 cards. And basically, what happens is that I will do the cards like this, and someone will think of one of these cards, and I will say, they will tell me what is the pile, just 3 times, but I think we'll be okay. And then I will guess what is the card.
Very unique.
You've seen this before?
Once.
Oh, so I show something else. Oh, I show something else. It's just a joke. So, I go through the cards like this, and I want you to touch one card. Just touch one. This one. Take it out and show it to everyone, not to me, because my mom sees it. Everyone.
Save it.
No. It's just. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Put it back. You remember the card as well?
Yes.
I didn't see it. Thank you.
Good. So the card it goes about the middle. Wait. Forgot. Shit. Okay. Sorry. Whew. Okay. Now that I will try. I would do a kind of bet. You understand bet, right?
Mhm.
And I would do it with you because since it is his deck. So, and this is what happens. Basically, since you borrow me the deck, then you can choose. You choose one of these piles.
Okay.
Yeah, you just point to one of it.
Near prime.
This one, okay?
Yes, sir.
So this is the pile that you are betting your own deck. Is it
Okay.
okay if I bet your deck on that one?
Okay.
Good. So basically, if the cards ends up in this pile,
Mhm.
then you lose the deck.
Mm.
So bad. But if it ends on this one, then you can keep it.
Oh.
Okay? Good.
I'm hoping to lose, I guess.
So, I think it's okay. So you can, it should be on this one, right? So you can go in and reach and to see it and see if the card is in there. And I didn't told you that, but the deck goes for you if it's not on this, if it is on this pile.
Okay.
So you can. Have you ever played this game before? Just a question.
No.
You didn't? Okay, so just because you never. I would just give you a few more chances just to make it. Yeah, it's okay.
Make sure I like this game.
Okay, so now you can just go.
Is there? I can
Yeah,
reach for it.
yeah, you can. But actually, you like red cards?
Yeah, they're cool.
Okay, I don't, so
See, look, they're
I
red.
just give you a few more chances because, okay, good. Because, you know, I don't actually like red cards, so actually, since it's not my deck, I don't care. Just, I think that would be okay. So there's pretty much the same amount of possibility of being this spy on this one, right?
Yeah.
So, sorry, what was the card?
King of Spades.
The King of Spades, okay. So let's see, King of Spades, chicka, chicka, chicka. Oh shit. I'm sorry. It's because, yeah, it is the King of Spades, sorry. So you can keep your deck. But you know, I don't actually like this effect, but I will talk about it later. I'll do something better then. I hand you the cards, you know how to shuffle, right? So shuffle the cards and put it under the table.
Under the table.
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
best
I-
shuffle. It's okay, it's okay. And put it under the table, under the table.
All right. No problem. Hang on.
Under the table, put it,
Wait,
yeah.
wait. Let's really shuffle it, all right?
Put it under the table.
All right.
Good. But come closer to the table so that way I cannot see anything. Is that okay? And cut it complete, just to make sure. Is that good? Good. Would you like the top or the bottom card?
Bottom.
Or the top card?
Or the bottom. Okay, bottom.
Or the top card?
Okay, top.
Or the bottom? Ah! It doesn't matter, just take whatever you want, just don't look at it, turn it around and put it in the middle. You did this? I know it's a little hard to do. Yeah?
Okay.
You did it?
Mhm.
Good, so I'm not sure if you took one from the top, from the middle, from the bottom, but there's one reverse, right? Good. And maybe I could be really lucky. And if you bring the cards, maybe you spread the cards and I could see the reverse cards. Maybe. I will be really lucky. So in order this not to happen, because sometimes I'm really lucky, just turn all the cards face up. So that way, when you bring it up, I wouldn't see if I see the reverse card, I will only see the back of the card. Okay? Yeah, but under the table, sorry. Under the table, and put it inside the box. And close the box, it's very important. Good? Sounds fair?
Go for Okay.
It's good, right? Now you can bring it up. Did you? You can take a look just to close it. I know it's the hardest part of all. Okay. That would be hard. Black for sure. I think it's black. And not only black. Let's see. I think it's a number, like a high number. For example, if I ask you, what do you think is the value of the card? Just for example, 9.
Yeah.
Oh, you were so close. It's the 8. It's the 8 of clubs. The 8 of clubs, I think. I do everything as clean as I can. Everything as clean as I can. Where did you put the card, more or less? Remember? Above the middle, okay. Because some people, they usually put like second for a top, something like that. And then I start to look for the card and I never find it. And it is very, very interesting if you start to see it. Because here, at some point, oh, here, I have the 8 of spades. Here I have the 8 of hearts. Here there's one card reversed. Here's this the 8 of diamonds, but no 8 of clubs, is it? No 8 of clubs, right?
Nope.
Wow.
So this means that this card can only be, yeah, exactly, the 8 of clubs. Thank you. Okay. Does anyone have another color deck of cards, like a blue one or something like that? You do, right? Is it complete?
Yes.
Good. It would work. So, is it with the jokers or without the jokers?
I think without.
Okay. It's a very interesting case. It is. I actually saw a friend of mine in Brazil doing a joke. He was doing the invisible deck routine, saying, "Okay, now shuffle the cards." No. taken out the elastic from because I don't use a box, which is very funny. So, and let's see, without the jokers, okay, good. So I want you to name one card, anyone you want.
4 of diamonds.
Well, not anyone because I think the joker is not in there, but anyone besides the
4 of diamonds.
4 of diamonds, okay? Good, so you are going to try to find the 4 of diamonds. Is that okay for you?
Sure.
Good. So I will go to the cards like this. I want you to touch one. Just touch. Which one?
This one.
This one, are you sure?
Yeah.
Don't you want maybe this one? This one's really good. No?
No, I'll stay with that.
Okay, so take it out 4 of diamonds, right?
Mhm.
Turn it around.
Show it there.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, good. Oh, good. For example, if I ask you, for example, name any card you want.
8 club,
8 of oh, again?
Yeah.
Why is that?
just because you showed it now.
Okay. Don't you prefer the 4 of diamonds? 4 of diamonds is great, no?
That's okay, right?
Okay, it was already there. It would be easy. So I would do it for you again. So you touch and you will find the 8 of clubs.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay.
So touch one. That's the 8 of clubs. Take it out and show everyone it's exactly the 8 of clubs.
I haven't looked yet, by the way.
What? No. Is that
It's the 4 of diamonds.
the 4?
Didn't we do this already?
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, that's fine. And if I ask you, for example, can you name any card you want?
5 of hearts.
Well, not anyone because of course it's missing the 8 and the 4, but anyone we said which one? Sorry.
5 of hearts.
5 of hearts. Okay. So I would try to find the 5 of hearts, and it would be more or less like this. Nothing here, more or less like this.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
And one card appeared in the middle. Can you turn the card? Yes. And it is exactly. At this moment, usually, since everyone is not warm because it's really cold here, everyone usually just go in and jumps in the chairs. I'm like, ah! Just kidding. I do, maybe, it's okay if I do it with you, right? I go through the cards like this, and what I want you to do, I'm not sure if the deck is complete though, what I want you to do is I want you to touch one of the cards face up, okay? It's in 2 parts, it's the first one. So touch one. This one, you like it? Which one is it?
Sure,
It's,
the 9 of
9 of diamonds, okay, take it out. So 9 of diamonds, you like the 9s?
Yeah.
I think 9s are like beautiful numbers, but I prefer like the 8s because the 8s are one. That's okay. So you really like the 9s, right?
Yeah, sure.
Good. So then we use it with the 4 9s. Is that okay for you?
Yes, sir.
So, oh, by the way, what I forgot to ask you. What order of suits you guys use here? Just for curiosity.
Clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades.
Chase.
Also chased.
Chase.
Does anyone use spades, hearts, clubs, and diamonds?
Yes.
Who? You?
Depends on the fact.
Very interesting. I was just wondering. But well, we were just talking about Johnny Thompson. He was such a loss, and I think there are a lot of great magicians in history. And there is one specifically that I want to talk about, which is David Berglos. He's still alive, luckily for us. And I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of it, probably. But David, 60 years ago, he did one effect that we all know, called it the any card of any number. But he did it without touching the cards. And he was really famous because of that one specific effect. But of course, he did a lot of miracles during the years. And today, I would try to do my own version of the any card of any number without touching the cards in honor of David Berglos. Is that okay? So basically, someone thinks of a number from 1 to 52, and someone thinks of a card. You have a card?
Yes, sir.
And you have a number? Good. So take the cards, look for the card and put it here. And if the card is not in the deck, then just think of another one. Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the number, I'm sorry? 31. Do you want to change your mind?
No.
Okay. 31. So turn the card. Which one it is? The 2 of hearts. Good. So take the 2 of hearts and take out all the cards in your hand as well. And put the 2 of hearts face down about the 31st position. About. This, that looks like. Okay. And square. This is more about like 26, right? So take 4 cards from the bottom and put at the top. So yeah, I think that's not. Oh, since it was 26, then it's 1 more from the bottom to the top. Yeah. And cutting complete. And shuffle, because otherwise it wouldn't be magic. So shuffle the cards, and it is very interesting. That's the best kind of shuffle.
It's
of all.
my favorite show.
Cards fall on
Now
the floor.
I'm embarrassed. I did that.
Is that okay? Now I have a question. Do you want to cut the deck?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to cut again? Are you sure? Because look at, you said 30, 31, right?
31.
The 31st card, if you cut the cards, it won't be the 31st anymore. Are you sure?
I don't believe it's the 31st now.
Are you sure you don't want to be cut?
I'm sure.
Because listen to me. When you're at your home today at night, you're going to sleep in your bed, you're almost sleeping and then you start to think for yourself, what would happen
I would've cut
if I
that.
cut it one more time?
Yeah.
Or not?
No.
All right.
Do it, Gene.
No, stand fast, King, stand fast.
I warned him. Right?
Please.
So this is the classic. This is the classic. Any card at any number. Without touching the cards, which is it's a really good classic. What?
You're not touching the cards?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my mistake. I didn't explain correctly since I'm Brazilian. I have some problems. I actually never said I would do with this deck. Take the cards from the case, but don't change the order. That's very, very important. Take it and put it in your hand. Yeah, put it in your hand like this. But don't change the order. It's very important. Now go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that was close. It's 2 of diamonds. Just so I don't die again, just make it face down. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wait, this is the 10, right?
Yep.
I think today is actually special. So take the cards and count 10 cards here, face down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now keep doing together. So it's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Wait, this is the 31. This is the 31. This is the 31. This one. Put it here. Take it. Put it here. Face down. One card at one number. 2 of hearts at 31. With this hand, take the card, but don't turn it. With this hand, take the card.
Holy.
Thank you. So now comes the part that if you don't want to know how it's done, you can just leave. No one? No one? I warned you. Let me see. This is Thank you so much. I think this might be yours. Oh.
He took it.
I have rubber case.
Oh, okay.
I have the case.
I was like, where is it? Thank you so much. So I use my deck, of course, to explain everything. It's kind of old though. Should have enough.
The humidity up here.
What?
Because of the air.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just because it's on. So now comes the second part of the lecture, which I'll explain in full details how I do everything, why I do everything. So pretty much all the details behind it. And the first effect I did, it's called the Tantalizer, and it was first published in the Royal Road to Card Magic. And you don't have to write this because on the lecture notes, so don't have to. But it was first published in the Royal Road to Card Magic, which is a great book. There's great effects in there. And the problem with this effect is that when you're doing it, you literally deal 100 cards. I counted, literally, and the sum of all the cards you deal is literally 100. So it is boring. It is very, very easy to be boring. So I try to. How can I say this? I try to put a very funny kind of presentation to it. Okay. So it was actually based on Darwin Ortiz. I think it's Risky Bet. That's the name of the effect. It his version of the tantalizer, which is a different method than the original, and he did it bottom the user a little harder. So he did it like a bet with the spectator that he would bet all his cash that the card will be the last one, blah blah blah. But I never liked that kind of bet because it created conflict with the spectator, and I don't like to do it because a lot of magicians, they ask me, oh, can you tell me about hecklers? But I think hecklers, they only appear a lot of times for you if you create conflict with them, because some magicians, they put themselves in a superior position, like I'm better than you because I can do this, and so if you do this, then the spectator will be like, oh, since you're better than me, then I will prove you otherwise. So I don't want this card, I want that one, yeah. So then he will try to mess with you. But if you show that magic is not about getting fooled, magic's about having fun, then you won't have these problems. So just a small detail. So thank you. So basically, in this, it is a kind of bet, which there is should be some conflict, but there is not, because it is funny. They understand that I'm only doing this for fun, not actual bet. So no one is superior than anybody else.
And they're not betting you. They're you.
Yeah, of course.
Us
It's not.
against-
Yeah, it is not. It's not against me. It's against him. But it is the same way. It is fun. It is funny. Usually, I ask you to join me, and then I remember like, oh, then he was the one that borrowed me the deck, because usually I like the guy to be that I do the effect to stay here, and the guy who borrowed me the deck to be around there or anywhere like this. So that way the guy here, I can do it. He's not his deck, so I do it with him and not with him instead. So that way it doesn't exist that crossing. But it's okay. I think it was fun at the end. For this effect, basically it's a mathematical effect, and you need a deck with 52 cards, no more, no less, 52. You can do it with less, but then you will change the position of the card you want to put. Basically, the effect is someone chooses one card, put it back on the 22nd position, and then you can and then you just do it, and it will happen every single time. But magicians, they usually are very focused on sleight of hand or this kind of stuff, or on the methods like this. So they are now, you probably are now must be thinking, okay, what should I do it to put the card at 22nd? Maybe I do a pinky count while or maybe I pass the card, or maybe beforehand I count the cards and I have the break. Why do that hard? I can show you that only with your attitude you can actually do it with no technique at all. If you can count the cards silently, you can do it. Look, I will do it out loud so that way you understand. I want you to take 1, 2, 3. I want you to take one card. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Put it back. 22nd. But he took really long to do it. This will be a great moment. But now you must be scaring, like, what if he takes like the card number 10 or something like that? You are like 11 numbers apart. 4. So 1, 2, 3. Take one card. 4, 5. This one. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Show everyone. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Put it back. 22. See? No hard moves at all. You can count the cards. You can do it. And of course, I didn't do this because I wanted to do something else. I didn't want to mind it. So I'm not sure if you guys remember that I did a joke at the beginning. I said I'll do something that you never see before.
Oh, right.
So it's
Oh, yeah,
3,
yeah,
6,
yeah, yeah.
9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Look,
Yeah.
after 21 is 22. So I take the cards, I do the joke, whatever, and now when I put it back, I just put it back like this, so that way the cards were not square, they were stacked. Okay. So then when I take the cards and I can easily take a break on the step. So that's it. And then I forced the card, but I will talk about this later why I did it. So then the card is there. I'm not sure now if I lose the break or not. 12, 15, 18, 21. Okay, so take one card, blah, 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 look at it, okay, put it back. Doesn't matter, I put it face up so that way we now can see what is going to happen in between. So now basically you always have to start from a point. And I always start from here. That is very, very important for the effect. And you have to remember which point you start with, okay? So doing this mathematically, the card will always be at the other pile. Okay? Good. So then, after this, you take the pile that you didn't start with, which was this one, and you start dealing for the one you start again. So always you start dealing with for this one. So, yeah.
You asked me
Yeah.
to choose a pile.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
I understand.
because usually you're not the one helping me, so
Yeah.
I ask someone else as to point. So for example, I say, which one, since the deck is yours, which one do you want? This one? Okay, so this will be the winning pile.
Okay. So
And if it's not, then I would say, okay, so this is the one you're risking your own deck. Okay. So if the card is here, then you give your deck to him. So it doesn't actually matter, because I don't know what is going to happen. So basically, always starting from this one, and then since I'm pretty close, I will arrive all the time with this. It's mathematical. You cannot miss it. If you put in the card in 20 seconds and do it like this, it's impossible to miss. Okay. Any questions about this? No. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah. Sure.
When you did the count,
Yeah.
he pulled the card out, which would change the count at that point.
Before the
What-
21st card?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Then you just
right.
another one.
So I guess you don't count the card as you pull it out, or?
What do you mean?
you took a card. I took a card in the middle of your counting.
Did you?
Yes. So I took one early one time.
Right, so you're
Not
going
in that-
1, 2,
when you were
3, 4,
demonstrating.
and then you pull the
When
card.
you were demonstrating.
So it was out of your count. So when you're going 1,
But
2,
you-
3, 4, 5, I grabbed a card and then.
Oh.
So you had to adjust your
Well,
count.
Oh, okay. It was a demonstration. Okay, the
Yep.
demonstration, not the actual effect. That's why I was not remember. It's like.
Because
So
in the
you're
actual
saying.
effect, you did the force, right?
Well, yeah, I did a force, but your question again was.
Well, in other words, you don't count the card they take in that count, counting to 22 is all I'm saying.
No,
right?
I'm not. I don't.
Okay,
I actually
you don't,
counted
okay,
to
I just
21.
want to verify, because I was listening to you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I said, well, you did count that card, and I said,
No,
that's not-
I didn't.
Okay.
So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, take one. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay,
So
okay.
everyone 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So I don't count this card, or if I did, I would have to count 22 and then put the card back. And of course, some magicians if they will do the same thing as me in forcing the card, they might be like, oh, what if he doesn't take this in 20 seconds? Nothing happens because I have 21 cards here on the top of my break. So if you take one card from the top of the break, I can just go to my break, pass it one more, and put it back. And if you choose one card after the break, I just have to keep the breaks, and then you just put it back in the break. It will be the 22nd. Okay, so just so you guys have a lot of ways of doing it. So any questions about this? I will come back in this effect later on.
Why
But
did you start with it?
What?
Why did you start with it?
I will come back with this part, specifically this
Because I
part.
thought it was an interesting start.
Yeah, but okay. So the second effect is my version of Theodore Adleman effect. It is called. It is on the book. It's a Secret. That's the actual name of the book. It's not. It's a Secret. It is. But basically, he did it this effect. I think the original version he did it under the spectator spec. So this is my version of it. I called it reverse. I have 12 versions of it, and this is one of it.
$1,000.
If you can remember, I would be interested to know. Thank you. So basically, in order this to happen, I need a stack deck. Okay? And I use Size Stebbins. Is anyone not familiar with a stack deck? What is a stack deck? You're not familiar? Okay, I'll explain it. Basically, a stack deck is a deck that is in order, and you know the order of the cards. It doesn't have to be necessarily a memorized deck. It can be like a mathematical, so you just can, for example, looking at this one, you can know what is the next one, and that's all we're going to need for this effect specifically. And in this case, I use Size Stebbins. So I would just teach really quickly what is Size Stebbins. Basically, you start with any card, and then you have an order of suits in your hand. In my case, it's spades, hearts, clubs, and diamonds. So what I do is that I look for the next card would be spades in my order, and the mathematical principle is that basically it's it's +3. The next card is always +3. So in this case would be the 10 of spades, and then +3 would be the king, and the next suit is hearts, it will be the king of hearts, which is somewhere. Oh, thank you. So the king of hearts, and then plus 3, so it will be the 3 because there's no 16 of clubs. So in this case, I do it minus 13. So I will end up with the 3 clubs, which is somewhere, and then so on and so on and so on. So basically, it doesn't matter. If I take the bottom one and I look at this one, I know what is the bottom. Okay, so this will be the 10 of spades. And at the same time, if I take the top one, looking at the bottom one, I would know what is the top one because it is the next one in the cyclical order. Okay, so this will be the king of hearts. Good. Any questions about this experiment, sir? Oh. Good. So I'll explain it so the way it's a lot easier for you guys to see it with all the spades cards. Spades. Good. So basically, I need a stack deck. I need to know the order of the cards. So I would just put it the Jack 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ace. And just to reverse it so that way it's always +1 and not -1. So what happens here is that I'm giving him the deck. In this case, it's only a few cards, just so you guys understand. And I will talk about the shuffle soon. Basically, I ask you to cut the cards, so cut the cards, and then I do a joke at this moment, and I say, "Do you prefer the top or the bottom, or the top, or the bottom?" So then I just mess with him because not only because it's funny, but he's serving me for something. I'm actually giving a lot of importance to the top card and the bottom card, okay, to him, not to everyone else. So now when I go back to him, I say, okay, just take whatever you want and put it in the middle. Now, since these cards are really important, they take it for the top or for the bottom, and they put it reversed. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Because I put a lot of importance to it. I know you didn't do that. You didn't, right?
Not yet.
No, I mean when I did the presentation.
Yeah.
Did you take the one from the top or from the bottom?
To the top.
Oh, okay. So it's just a riffle shuffle. Okay. The long story.
Oh, when I riffle shot.
Yeah,
I
it's
missed you.
okay.
I'm
It's
sorry.
okay.
Okay.
It's okay. It works out at the end.
Okay, sorry.
Another way, slightly different, but it works. So basically, when I handle him the deck, I say, do you know how to shuffle? And from everyone, it's like I'm asking me if you know how to shuffle the cards, but for him specifically, if it is, he'd know how to shuffle like this. So I said, do you know how to shuffle? Okay, so shuffle, and put it under the table. Because what happens is if I give the deck to him and I say shuffle the cards, then he would just shuffle, and shuffle, and shuffle, and shuffle, and he would never stop. Or maybe when he's tired, like from 5 years from now, then he would stop. But in this case, I don't want him to shuffle as much, so I just go shuffle and put under the table. So I give him another information. And then I say cut and complete. So that way he just shuffle it up, put under the table, cut and complete, and that's all. Usually. So what happens here is that he actually did a riffle shuffle, which is not good. But again, I will talk about this in a moment. If it doesn't work out, then it's improvised. But of course, if you don't want to do the shuffling process, if you don't want to risk yourself, then you can just ask him to cut the cards under the table a few times, and that will be enough. Okay? But I do like to risk myself because I think it adds to the effect a little bit. And I think everything I can add is really good. And it's very, very hard to not to work because since this is the shuffling he's doing, what's happening here is that he's just changing the order of only a few cards. He's literally doing like if it were cuts, just like this. So da da da, it will be like this. Okay? So that's why I give him the cards and I ask him to shuffle like this because that way most of the cards will be in the order. Only a few cards wouldn't say the next one. So for example, looking at this one I wouldn't know what is this one. Looking at this one I wouldn't know what is this one. And looking at this one I wouldn't know what is this one in this case. But all the rest of the cards I would know. Okay? So of course this is only so you guys can understand everything. So now that I give a lot of importance to it, I ask him to take the top card. I say the top or the bottom, and I give importance to the top or the bottom. And I ask, okay, take whatever you want. And for everyone else, I'm giving a lot of freedom to him. So he could take anyone he wants, really. But for him, it's just taking the top or the bottom, because it is either one of take whatever you want of these two cards. Okay. So when you take the card and put it in the middle, for example, take it whatever you want. So you now take the top and the bottom. Turn the card and put it in the middle. And now when he put the card in the middle, what I do is that I come back to him and say, "Did you?" I said, "So you took one from the top, from the middle, or from the bottom." And now at this moment, I say for the first time the possibility of actually taking the card from the middle. So this is very, very fair for everyone. So because it's shuffled, you take any card he wants from the top, from the middle, from the bottom, put it on the middle, reverse, and that's it. And I guess what is the card? It's really possible, right? So we just keep this like this. So what happens now, since this is under the table, I have to pick at the bottom card in order to know what is the next card, in order to know what is the reverse card, right? So I just say, okay, now maybe if the cards are face down, I could maybe see the reverse card. So turn all the deck face up. So now it ends up with the card I want to know here. But how? Since it's under the table, I cannot see it. So how do I manage to see? I say, okay, and I do this, because everything that I say verbally, it is asked by the spectators. For example, give me the bottom four cards. No, the top cards. Yeah. Thank you. So if I say something like, I do something with only 4 cards. Now the spectator asks themselves, is this really only 4 cards? But if I say I do something with the aces, now the spectator he have the answer for himself, because if it is the aces, then it's 4, only 4 aces. So he assumes there's only 4 cards. So everything that I say verbally is the same thing. If I say, for example, I would have one coin that would travel from here to here, more or less like this, and it goes. It is different than doing, I have one coin that would travel from here, from this hand to this empty hand. At this moment that I say empty hand, they just go in like, right? So because that they always ask themselves if all the information you give verbally. So that's why I don't want to give anything verbally. So I just do this move. I just say do this, and when I do this, you put it on the table. Under it. When I do this, then he brings it up, and I look at the card, which is the 6 of spades. No, under the table. Sorry, put it inside the box. So this is like a mistake, and the mistakes are not memorable. They don't go to the long-term memory. Just they stay on the short-term memory. Because, for example, if I'm on the dinner or something like that, and then my fork falls on the floor, everyone will see it. I would take it, and then maybe 30 seconds from now, no one will ever remember that it happened. Okay? So that's why I do this. So that way it feels like the deck never left under the table. Right? So now he put it inside the box and whatever. I know it should be the 7 of spades because it's the next one in this case. So just put it inside. He brings it up finally, and I say, okay, good. So now I try. I think it's a black card, and it's a spade, and it's a 7 of spades. Well, sometimes I like to ask the spectator what he think it is, but I give him. I don't say what card you think it is. I just say. I first say, okay. Oh, it's a black card, and it's a number. Like it's a number that I really enjoy. What do you think is the value of the card?
9.
So if they say the correct one, then I say, okay, so 9, it can be the 9. Why not? And so it looks like it could be any card, right? But in the case it doesn't work since it didn't. So I just go and say, oh, almost, you were too close. It was the 8 of clubs. Doesn't matter. So I'm here with the 7 of spades, and so 7 of spades, good. Now what I do, I say I will do everything as clean as I can. I open the pack. Let me just put this in the right position because this should be here. This should not be here. Just so that way it's on the same side. So now what I do is that I take out the cards and I see only the top one. Because if the top one is the next one in the order, so for example, in this case it's the 6 of spades, the next one would be the 7 of spades, and the next after the 7 of spades would be the 8 of spades. So if it is the 8 of spades, I know 100% sure that I am correct. And if it's not, then I will have to improvise. And it wasn't the card actually, because the riffle shuffle, there was one card at the top, so it wasn't that one. But it doesn't matter. So now I spread the cards. I am free to spread the cards. And there is something very, very. Do you guys have any coins or something like that? Only one coin would be fine. Thank you. There is a very, very good move called the spider vanish, but at the same time it's good. I've never seen someone doing it right. Not technically, but presentational. Is it right? Okay. So this is the spider vanish. When I take the coin and the coin vanish, really vanish. That's how magicians usually do. And for me, there are two kinds of spectator. There's one kind of spectator that is suspecting of what I'm doing, and there is the other spectator that is not suspecting of what I'm doing. So for some of them, when I do this, for them the coin disappeared here, and they are now from this moment experiencing the magic. And there are some guys that think the coin is still here, which is the one that is suspecting. So when I open my hand, now they're like, holy crap, because it vanished. But the problem is that when I make the coin vanish, and I call attention from here and do anything like this, it is very weird. It's not something natural. So when I open my hand, and it's not there, of course, the guys that thought the coin was there will feel the magic. But the guys that thought the coin disappeared here, when since I'm calling too much attention for it, they were like, but the coin disappeared there. Why is it calling my attention to this? Or not? Was it supposed to be still there? So I'm pretty much messing their experience with magic. Okay? So what I try to is I try to break all the possibilities from the guys who are suspecting, but I try not to create suspicious from the guys who thought the coin disappeared that way. So for example, a solution for this case would only be something like this. The coin disappeared. Can you open your hand for me? And since this is very natural, then I don't create suspicious in the people that were supposed to. And the guys that thought the coin was here, when I open, it's like, holy shit. So it's not there anymore. Understand?
Yes.
So I do this, thank you so much. So I do the same thing here. I want to show that there is only one card reversed, but I don't want to show, but I don't want to say, look, there's only one card reversed, only one. I don't. So what I do instead is the card was a 7 of spades. So I just go, it's very interesting because here there's one card reversed, and here, of course, because reverse one. Here there's a 7 of clubs. Here the 7 of hearts. Here there is the 7 of diamonds, but no 7 of spades, right? So at this moment, I'm showing every single card. There's no other cards reversed. So I end up with this possibility, and at the same time, I'm not messing up like, oh look, there's no card reversed, and not disturbing the experience of the spectators that were not suspecting. So also this is very good in this specific case, because I'm pretty much showing that the 3 cards are there, but not the one that I named. So this is very strong because before they see this card, they are actually visualizing what is going to happen. They know that it will be the 7 of spades. So now I will talk about something that is called the melacorto. I don't know if someone speaks Spanish. Someone speaks Spanish? Just curious about it. Okay, so no one. But the melacorto is it's a theory from Quintamaris, and it's basically when you extract the most of climax as you can. You cannot go any more further than the melacorto, which is it is the moment that they are seeing this, and they know that it's going to happen, but they don't believe that it's going to happen because it's so strong. Okay, do you guys mind if I say bad words?
In what language?
Do you?
What kind of bad word? No, go ahead.
It is only one because it's the actual translation for melacorto. Do you mind, lady?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry for that though. The melacorto, it literally means I cut my dick. And I will tell you why. Because the expression in Spanish is like, if this is my card, then melacorto, then I cut my dick. Because it's so impossible they don't believe.
That's
So,
a rough thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry. But so that's why basically what happens is that you have to create emotions. Of course, if I just say, take one of these 2 cards, this one, okay, look at it, remember it, and then put it back, and I put this one here, and this will be your card. For the first time, what is your card? Since this is not a good effect, then he will not feel the impossibility as much as, for example, this one, because I shuffle, take any card, and I guess what is the card, and I show that there's no cards, only this one reversed. It's like, no, it's no possible. So now they are at this moment, which is, I think, is the most pure magic moment that you can get. I'm not saying it's better than other moments. I'm just saying it is the most pure magic moment that you can have. And I'm not sure if it ever happened to you guys, but if it did, I know you probably felt this emotion as well as the spectators. Like when the spectator was reacting, no, no way, no, don't tell me, no. Then you understand that you couldn't go better than this. But this is just theory and So when I arrive to this position and it is the card, then I show it is out of spades, everyone claps, everyone dies. Okay? Any questions about this? Yeah.
How do you know if the top card or the bottom card was placed?
Oh, okay. It doesn't matter actually, because I will tell you. Since imagine this is a stack is a cyclical, for example. So after the 6 is a 3, just so you understand. It doesn't matter how it is. If I take the bottom one and I look at this one, then I know it will be the 3, right? Because it will be the next one in the stack. And of course, if you choose the top one instead, looking at this one, I know what is the next one will be the 4, because it's cyclical.
So in the first time that you did it, though, you were out of the stack, right?
Just one off.
Yeah, it was one card off.
So as you're spreading through
Yeah.
to take out the others, is there an off chance that someone else is going to see?
There is, but then it comes, again, if you don't want to risk yourself, don't do it. I do it, but I'm aware that this can happen. And if it does, because of course, if I see that this card is not the one that matches, then I will start to improvise. So at this moment, it wasn't the right card, because I said 8 of clubs, and when I spread it, this was the 8 of clubs. So usually magicians, they think that improvisation is do whatever comes to your head first, but that is not correct. Improvisation is years and years of experience of actually doing the first thing that comes to your head, and some of them were really bad, some of them were okay, some of them were good. Then from this moment, now I can recall that years and years, what is the best situation, what is the best way out of it. So for me, improvisation is not doing the first thing that comes to your head, it's experience. So in this moment, since the card was on the top, then I just do it a side jog and I spread all the cards, so that way you couldn't see the reverse card. And then I could just keep doing as I wanted. But if the card was in the middle, maybe I would do a totally different thing. If this wasn't the card, I would do a totally different thing. For example, where did you put more or less the card?
How far down?
About the middle, okay.
About the middle, yeah.
So I just go really like this, and I'm all the time I'm looking at the cards, for example, to find if I see a similar card to the one that I named. And so I'm not sure what would I do in all cases, because it varies from time to time, it varies from audience to audience, because, for example, the same thing could happen to me, but if I were with a different audience, I would do something else, because it's what I feel at the moment. Okay? Good? Also, I will talk about a little bit about improvisation. Henry Evans, I'm not sure if you know him. Henry is a great friend. He's a magician from Argentina. He's amazing. And I think he's probably the biggest authority in the trick that cannot be explained, which is basically outs all the time. And Henry told me that when the first time that he actually understood how was improvisation, he was seeing a magician on television, and the magician was doing the 3-card Monty with the normal decks, of course, with normal cards, right? So at some point, the magician actually flashes the double lift, which was cards back to back. And usually magicians could just go and say like, oh, I'm sorry for that. But what he did instead was, oh, look, do a close here, the camera, show here. Have you ever seen a card with 2 backs? No? Neither am I. So that's why I say I will not play with you anymore. So he basically, since it happened, then he just literally showed what was happening, telling what was happening, while his head was processing, what can I say now? What can I say now? What can I say? Okay, no one would ever seen a card like this. So I would do it. So I remember that Henry was also telling me that he was doing a total coincidence routine, which is basically all the cards match, so the spectator shuffles everything, and then the 5 of clubs match with the 5 of spades, and the 10 of clubs match with the 10 of spades, and the queen of diamonds match with the queen of hearts, so all the cards match. This will be the right one. But what he did is actually, he actually messed up, and no cards matched at all. So again, usually, you could just go, oh, I'm sorry for that, guys, and I'm sorry, but he went for it. He just go and said literally. And now all the cards match. Look, the ace of clubs with the 8 of diamonds, the 5 with the king, the jack with the keys, and every single card is the 9 with the 10, and all the cards match. And since he was so confident of what he was doing, everyone was not understanding exactly, but they were like, okay, because it's like I'm just must be stupid, so I'm not understanding, but I'm sure it's working out. So okay, that's good. And then even after this, it came a friend of him, a student of him actually, and said, Henry, I didn't quite understood the last effect. It's like, how did you understood? Look, the 10 and the 9, it matches because their card follow it, because after the 9 is a 10. And the 7 and the queen, because they are both black cards. And the jack and the, because they are both odd, and they are both spades. And so and I was like, okay, thank you. And I went like, all right. So again, magic, it is, improvisation is about experience. Okay? So where was I? You find the table. I finished it, right? Okay.
Yes.
Good. So now comes the third part, which is basically the third effect, which is basically improvisation. So that's good that I talked about it before. I knew how I was supposed to end. I knew that I wanted to end with the 4 cards on the table, the 3 cards on the table, which are different. Someone chooses one card, and then all the cards changes to that one. But I didn't know how to arrive there. But since I need 3 cards there, I asked 3 persons to say cards, and that works. But also, I have to tell you why I wanted to arrive there in this position. I wanted to arrive there because I wanted to create a moment of offbeat, a strong moment of offbeat. And what is the offbeat? The offbeat is basically when you're looking at a magic trick. By the way, I don't like to say trick. I only like to say magic. So whenever lay people ask me, "Oh, can you do that trick again?" It's like there's no tricks. I just do magic. I think it adds a little bit because I'm basically teaching the spectator how to behave, and then usually they understand that it's actual magic, is not tricks, but just a small detail. But so the moment of offbeat is basically when your body is in tension watching an effect. So then at the end, when effect, for example, finish, then they relax, and that's the offbeat. That's the moment that their brains is not recording of anything. So I can do literally anything I want, and no one will ever remember of that. And I will show you one effect for that. It's not mine. It's a version from Danny Georges. It's a version called it Numerical Match, and it is his version of Hofzinser's Numerical Match. But I'll show you the effect. Can I do it with you? Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, I do the cards like this, and I want you to say stop.
Stop.
Is that okay? Good. So 1, 2, 3, or 4 cards,
3
or 4.
or 4.
Or 3. Because look, it is the magic of the 4 cards, but we can do with 3 from here, 1 from somewhere else, or this 4.
Those 4's fine.
Okay. So, and now for the actual magic. It's okay if I do with you?
Sure.
Okay, I deal the cards like this. I want you to say stop.
Stop.
Is it okay? How many cards do you think there is here? About 12. Okay. Can you count? Let's see if you're close. I think you're close. Maybe 11. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. I missed by 1, missed by 2. But it was written here that I'm off by 2. So okay, but it's very interesting because if here I have 10 cards, that means that the 4 cards you choose can only be 1 10, 2 10s, 3 10s, and the 4 10s. You can stop at 1 more, 1 less, but exactly the 4 10s. This moment usually the people applause, they understand that it actually match. That's why it's called numerical match. But it's okay. So for example, if I ask you, lady, I take the cards like this and you say stop very quickly.
Stop.
Wow. Okay, that's really quickly, but it's okay. Now we don't have 10 cards here anymore. How many do we have?
7.
Oh, these people are good at math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But if here I now have 7 cards, what
Oh.
before was the four
No
tens
way. No
now
way.
can only be 1 7, 2
Ah!
7s, 3
Ah!
7s, and the
Ah!
4 tens. So this is a very good effect to talk about the upbeat, because at some point I literally have to take the cards, count 4 cards, do a break under those 4 cards, square all the tens in the table, switch it, put in the same position, and put this back. I literally did all of this.
Wow.
And why you don't remember this? Because it was during the moment that you were relaxed. It was at the offbeat. The offbeat is a very very good moment because you can do whatever you want. No one will ever remember. And also there is something that I call filling the gaps. Your brain is always trying to find patterns in this stuff. So when I had the 4 tens here, you relaxed. Everything
We're safe.
between this, you don't remember. And when your brain came back, you saw 10 cards, 4 cards face down, so your brain just feels all the information that happens in this time, because the last time you paid attention, the cards were face up. So now your brain's like, okay, so the cards just must be turned the cards face down. And that's what your brain do. It's the same thing, for example, do you have, may I have the red deck so far again? Thank you. So it is the same thing, for example, if I have this. Forget about this, okay? If I ask you what is the color of the deck, of course it is blue, because your brain is feeling the information of every single card you're not seeing, even thought all the other are not blue. And I've seen magicians doing very bad things in order to make a deck, color changing deck routine. They do something like, I do something with only red cards. All of them are red, all of them are red. And this is really bad because, sorry, this is my thread on my head. This is really bad because this is not natural. And the spectator's now you're calling too much attention to it, and you're literally doing what Vernon says not to. Do not run if you're not being chased. And you're literally running and you're not being chased. So I could just go and put the cards like this for a while and talk, and maybe to do one subtlety like forcing one card to touch one. So this one, okay. So I use the 2 of hearts, okay, and I would try, because actually, oh, there's a different case here. If I do like this, now this card is actually blue, and now this blue, and they will feel a lot more the effect than in the other case that you are actually running, because your brain is feeling the information of all the cards. Thank you again. Thank you. So now coming back to the offbeat, there is something, of course, you guys probably use the offbeat even without knowing. It is very important to know, because that when you can use it, how do you say, you know that you are using it and why you're doing it. So that way you understand better, you can use it better way. But the effect, basically, just to explain that it's basically a timing force. Let me just find the cards again. So there's the 4 tens, there are 4 sevens, and basically the effect is I have the 4 tens here, followed by the 4 sevens, and all the rest here. Good. So now I force these 4 cards, you do the timing force. So I do the cards, say stop.
Stop.
Here, okay. So I force the 4 tens, put it here. Now I force 10 cards, so I do cards like this, and you say the word stop.
Stop.
Is that okay? So now it's 10 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's always timing force. So it's not a hard trick to do it like a skill with you don't need a lot of skill with your hands, but you need to understand the timing force, which is not easy to. If you guys want, I can talk about it later after the second one. But
What would you have done if he had said 3 instead of 4?
it doesn't matter. I just put all 3 and then I force the other. It is basically improvisation. It doesn't matter. So then after this, I show the 4 cards. Wow, the 4 tens. Everyone relax. I take all the cards. I do a break on the 4. I square all of it. I switch it. I do a packet switch, by the way, which is basically I have the break here, and my finger, the thumb, contacts this part, and this finger contacts the other card. So I'm now like a slip cut. Slip cut, no.
Swing
Yeah,
cut.
a swing cut, yeah. So now what I do is that my thumb presses here and this card stays. So I could literally change a lot of times. It's not, it looks hard, but it's not. Okay, if you want to try it, it's really easy. So I switch it, I put those back about the same places, so the way your brain fills all the gaps. I put the cards back and I relax. And now that there's something. If an effect is too strong, let's go for the too bad first. For example, I have two cards here. Take one of these. Remember it. Do you want to change your mind? Okay, put it back. Doesn't matter. I shuffle the cards like this, and I will try to figure what is your card. I think this one. What was your card?
Five of spades.
The five spades. This is a really bad effect. Magicians usually think, oh, there's no bad magic. There's only bad magicians. It is not true. There is bad effects. This is one of it. But of course, there is bad magicians as well. And usually, the good magicians, they don't choose bad magic to do it. So that's why they usually say there's no bad magician. There's no bad magic, only bad magicians. But there is bad effects, such as this one. And if I'm doing a bad effect, then, since it is bad, you don't react as well, and you don't relax as much. So at this moment, I would only have maybe a fourth of a second to do whatever I want at the offbeat. After this, the attention would come back immediately. But at the same time, if I am doing a very strong effect, so for example, name this one, okay? Wait, no, I was. I have one card here, and this is my prediction. I put it here. We name any card, it will be the card.
Five of spades.
Five of spades. Are you sure?
I'm sure.
And exactly the five of spades. Now, since it's a very, very strong effect, now everyone will relax a lot more, and I have a lot of time to do whatever I want. But there is one problem that you will probably not read anywhere else. If the moment of offbeat is too strong, and I don't break this moment, then it will be really hard to get their attention back, because they will be relaxing and relaxing, 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 and then they will just start to talk with themselves, like, oh, did you see that was good, right? Oh, and by the way, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, guys, so come on, shut up, just look at it. So it'll be really hard. So what I do is that I finish one effect, boom, the five of spades, everyone, wow, amazed. I do whatever I want to do. I maybe count half of a second, say, but, and now I call everyone attention back, so that way it's not hard to get it back now. Okay? Just a few details about the outfit. So, okay, I think so. So now I wanted to finish the effect with the four cards, always the same value, because I wanted to create the moment of offbeat, and I thought that would be enough for what I want to. So what I do is, can you name any card you want? And now what I do is basically I'm doing what is called which one? Sorry.
Seven of diamonds.
So I'm doing what is called the death technique that allows me to control the card to the top. And it looks like I didn't hear what he said, so it gives me enough time to control the card, do whatever I want, put on the top, and then, I'm sorry, which one? Seven of diamonds. And then it's already done, because it's looking like I'm hearing for the first time. It is a very, very powerful tool. I'm not sure if you guys use it. It is by Juan Tamariz. And there's 5 variations of it. I just talk about this one, which is basically, I talk while the spectator answers me. So I just say, for example, can you name any card you want? Well, not anyone, because of course the deck is without the jokers, but I think anyone else is okay. Which one, sorry?
4 of clubs.
And even if my technique is really bad, even if I literally do this, which one, sorry?
4 of clubs.
It doesn't matter, because in the mind of the spectator, I wouldn't be able to know what card he would name before. So all of that wouldn't make sense for him. Okay? So this is that technique. And so I do it for the first time. I say, okay, can you name any card, Greg?
Seven of hearts.
Well, not anyone, because I think it's missing like hundreds of cards. No, maybe just missing 1 or 2. Which one, sorry?
Seven of hearts.
So I control the 7 of hearts, and I force. I do the classic force, by the way. I just, what did it say? Can you touch anyone? 7. show everyone? 7 of hearts? Wow, 7. That's good. So I now do the same thing again, but I don't use the death technique because I will use it a third time because I have to look for a 3 of a kind. So I need time for that. So that's why I don't use it the second time. I don't want to use always again, because not only the method might be discovered because it's always again and again and again and again and again, but also maybe there are some people there's like, he needs to go to a doctor. He doesn't care. You know? So I just go and say, can you name any card you want as well?
4 clubs.
Oh, sorry. I usually I do it with someone at this side. Sorry. I mean, can you name any card you want? And also the 4 of clubs, it was on the top because it had a big one. So
3 of spades.
3 of spades. You want to change your mind, and now I just look for the card. And usually here I'm basically controlling the cards using the spread call, which is basically I have the 3 of spades here, and my finger touches the card on the top of the 3 of spades, and only on the top, so it's not touching the 3 of spades. So now I can just literally, my finger, this one is touching the card after the 3 of spades. So I'm basically holding these 3 cards, but the 3 of spades is loose inside. And my finger just touches the 3 of spades and pull it. So now I can just spread all the cards and it will end up on top. Okay? So you guys understand. So I say, can you name any card you want? The 3 of spades, okay, and I would look for the 3 of spades. So why the 3 of spades?
My favorite card.
Really? It is? I was wondering. So now what I think I remember, I think I did this, I'm not sure, but I think I did something like this. Said, why don't you prefer maybe the 7 of hearts? Don't you prefer it? Really? So he's going to try to find the 3 of spades. So now what I did here is that since the 3 of spades was on the top, when I pointed to him, I do the top change, so this is now the 3 of spades. And now I say, are you so the 3 of, and now I come back to him, and I leave the deck on the table, because of course if I just do this, everyone would see it, and then it would call too much attention for them. So it would be something like that. Which one? The 3 of spades, right? Don't you prefer maybe the 7 of hearts? Because he would try to find the, which one?
3 of spades.
The 3 of spades, good. So that way this is not memorable at all. So it looked like the card is here all the time. So I just pass it to the middle, and I do the classic forcing. Touch one. That's what I thought. That's what I think I did. Show everyone it's exactly the 3 of spades. What? The 7 one? Oh, okay. So everyone claps, doesn't matter. And now I do a third time, and now I use the death technique again. I say, maybe can you name any card you want?
5 hearts.
Well, not anyone, because it cannot be the 7 of hearts and not the 3 of spades, but I think anyone besides the 7 and the 3 are okay. Which one?
5 hearts.
And at this moment I do the death technique, so I have the 5 of hearts here. I do a break, I add it to these 2 cards, and I do a basic sandwich, so I just put it in the middle. And I just drop it here, I don't call attention, so, but not the 7 and not the 3, but which one?
5 of hearts.
5 of hearts, good. So I say nothing here, and what I would do with my hands is I would basically spread this card, okay? So, with my hand, literally. But I say nothing here, and if I just go with my hands down, then it will call a lot of attention because it's not natural. So what I do is that I move my entire body. So that way it's natural for my hand to go down as well. So I just do this, nothing here, one card appear, wow, and this is very magical. And so that's the moment that I would look for the 3 of a kind. And it is very, very interesting because usually in the first few cards of the deck, you have already maybe 2 or even 3 of the cards you need. So for example, I would go for the jacks because there are 3 jacks here. But if there was no jacks here, then there will be 2 queens here, and then maybe 1 card more will be 2 5s. So it is really hard to, it is really easy to look for the cards because it's any card, right? So just so, can you turn the cards? I said jack, okay, I have all the 3. And exactly. And everyone claps because it's a really strong moment, it's really visual. So I take all of this while at the offbeat, and I switch it for the jacks. And that's all. And now, I stand up, and I go for anywhere else while I look for the other jack. Because I need time to look for it. So I just I look for the other jack, I now have a break on it, and now I force the card face up. And there is something that usually the classic videos from magicians from US, I never liked it because they had a mat here, and basically the video was recording only his hands and what he's saying. And I think magic, this is okay for like 10 or 15 minutes, but more than 20 minutes, it is really hard to keep watching. It is not interesting. It is tiring. How do you say?
Boring?
No, not boring. It's like you are
Tedious.
tired.
Tedious?
Yeah, that would work. It is hard to look at the same place over and over again for 20 minutes or more.
Fatiguing to look at the same.
Yeah, I think that's what she said. Which I don't know how to pronounce. So, what she said. So, so that's why in my show I only do card magic. A lot of magicians they ask, oh, but don't you think it's maybe too boring? Only cards and blah. No, because I think I do have a coin. Okay, sorry for this is really small. Though. I thought you're. But for example, if I'm doing a show and then I do something with the coin and the coin disappear, wow. And now I do something with cards and they disappear. Well, although there are different materials you are doing with coins and cards, it is the same effect. So this is actually boring. So what I try during my show when I structure it, I try to put all the effects totally different from each other. And of course, there's parts of it. If you want, I can talk about this in the third part. But basically, I try to vary as much as I can, and not only vary the effect itself, but also, for example, I use a mat. It is under the table, because that way it really served me as a normal mat. It is soft. It is sticking on the tablecloth and also on the table, so that way I have the same thing as a mat. But it is not showing a limit here, because now the magic doesn't appear only in the mat, it is the entire table. And not only in the entire table, I like to stand up and go to some other places, because that way it's more interesting to see, because I'm in different places, right? So I'm always trying to vary all of these, not only the effect, but also the magic doesn't only happens here, but it happens everywhere. Okay? So this is just in order to make not boring. So I go and say, okay, I want you to touch one card face up. And I just classic force it. This one, the jack?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you like the jack?
Yeah.
And now what I do is that with my face, I'm just doing this. Like, you like it? And now since they don't have time enough to think, they just say, yeah. And then they're like, wait, I didn't like that card. And you could even make sure that they don't change. Like, oh, actually I don't like it. You can even make sure like something like this. I would just take a very ugly card. For example, I think that okay, I think that's ugly enough. I go to the cards like this. I want you to touch one. This one, you like it? And now, wait, you have to look at me. You like it? And now you say yes.
Yeah.
And so of course, because only a stupid person would take a card that doesn't like, right? And now even if he doesn't like, he wouldn't say this. Of course, this is too much. I don't say this. I just go and force the actual card, which is the jack. So I just touch one card. This one, which one is the jack, right?
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah.
Good. So the jack. And you like it, right?
Sure.
So if you like the jack, then we can keep doing with the 4 jacks. And now this is the moment I was trying to arrive to, which is the moment that is a very strong effect. Everyone relax a lot. But I will not talk about why now, in a few moments. Now I will talk about any card at any number. And does anyone know how it's done? I'm not asking.
Idea? I forgot.
I'm not asking because I want to know if I fool you or not. I'm just asking because I want to understand how you guys think, so that way I can improve it. So, do you?
You've gone through so much that I can't remember the effect all that much, so I don't remember.
Is the any card in the number of the deck that it was all the time?
Yeah, I know the effect. I just forgot how you got there.
Okay.
I was following you. If you did it again, I'd be like, okay.
Does anyone? Yeah. No.
Well,
You do, right? Something. So.
I think I do too. But,
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have an idea.
But I don't want to ruin it
Come
for
on, come on.
everyone. So.
Oh, by the way, if you guys don't want to know how it's done, that's the moment.
I believe they were in on it to some degree.
What do you mean? Do you think it's stooge or something like that?
Not stooge, but you had them think of the number at some other point.
No, that is not correct.
No?
He knows because he read the lecture notes.
You are doing shifting?
Oh, What? good.
You
Must be
doing-
worthwhile.
When you did the number and card same,
Yeah.
you were shifting the cards.
No, because it was inside the box. Remember?
I'm saying
They have
that
a-
you asked Gene to think of a card, or like previously.
That is correct. But I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. Remember, this is the last time. It's last warning. If you don't want to know how it's done, if you want to keep the magic, that's the moment you just go out. And I'll call you if you when I finish this part. No? Alright. I told you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's not magic. They are all two of hearts. Sorry. If you can stand
Get
up
out.
if you want it.
Get out.
They are all two of hearts, except for 12 cards, which are these ones. So there's basically 40 two of hearts in the deck. Okay, so you guys can see on the back. There's 42 of hearts in the deck, and I have 12 any cards. But one of these 12 cards have to be the matching card for the one I'm using, which is in this case the two of diamonds. And I will tell you why specifically. I will just say how I set up first. I put the two of diamonds, which is the matching one, on the 4th position. All the two of hearts, and the next 6 cards. Okay, so 6 cards, two of hearts, and 6 cards. Good. This goes in the case. Good. Stays here. And now I say, this is a very, very fact, blah, blah, that is the any card number without touching the cards. And now I give you a very possible thing, so you can put your expectation really high. Okay? So your expectation like, no, he's not going to do this, really. And then when I ask him, okay, take the card out, blah blah blah. So where's the 2 cards? 2 cards. Now put the card about what is the position? Sorry. 31, so take it about the 31st position. And now at this moment they're like, oh, okay, I knew it wouldn't be that good because he's actually putting it back. So say yeah, and take maybe 2 cards. And now at this moment I wanted to feel for more time this disappointment. So that's why I say okay, I think it was about 30. So take 1 from the bottom from the top. It was 29. So 1 more from the bottom from the top. So this is just to put this moment a little larger. And now cutting complete. And now everyone was like, what? And Shuffle was like, oh, he's actually going to do it. Shit. So I'm now putting the expectations high again. Okay? And now again, since the expectations are high now, I want to extend this moment again. So I just say, do you want to cut the cards? Because if you cut, blah, 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 and then I start to play with the spectator, which is very funny, and it's really good. So, oh, do you want to cut again? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. And then now, what I do is, can I? And now at the moment that I touch the deck, everyone's like, I knew you had to do something. I knew it. So then I said, blah, 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 blah. And some people don't actually realize. So I just go for it. This is the classic of any card that you remember without touching the card. It's really good. And now at this moment, everyone realizes that I'm touching, so everyone starts to laugh and was like, what? Oh, I'm sorry. It's because I never said I would do it this deck. And now when I look at that deck, everyone's like, holy shit, he's actually going to do it. So basically what is happening inside of you is that your expectation at the beginning is really high, then it goes low, then it goes high, then it goes low, then it goes high again. So it is this coming up and down that is messing with you guys inside of you. And there is a theory that is called the champagne bottle theory. It's from Danny Ortiz. And I'm not 100% sure if it is from him, but he's the one that told me about it, and he didn't mention anyone. So I think it's his. That basically, if you have a champagne bottle and you open it, nothing happens. But if you shake the champagne and open it, now it explodes, right? And all and every one of you are the champagne bottle for me, and I'm shaking you with these emotions. So that way, when I arrive to the end, then the explosion is a lot bigger. Okay? And also, there is something at the end. I'll go for it. So basically now this is up and down, and I say, with the Melacorto, I want to create the moment, but the hardest part of the Melacorto is understand the timing, because if it is not subtle, for example, if it is like, because I never said I would do with this deck, but with this deck, then everyone don't realize for themselves beforehand. They realize because I'm telling them. And of course, if I'm holding the cards, here, so I never said I would do with this deck, and I just look at there, then some people might get it, but some people won't. So I have to make everyone realize about the same time. So that's why I do something that it is subtle, but not that subtle, such as my book, which is, but I never said I would do with this deck. And I literally turn my head so that way everyone follows it, and now everyone realizes what is going to happen, and then I don't have to tell them. They're like, no way, because it's a really, really impossible moment. So now I ask him to take out the cards from the deck. So take it out. Don't change the order, of course. And now, again, I will ask him to count the cards one by one. But I want to show some cards. So, again, if I say turn the cards face up, it will be too much. So I do the same thing as I did with the shuffle like this. I just say count one by one, and I do the same. What? The same,
Gesture.
yeah, just same gesture. It's because I don't know this word. Gesture, I know. But you're right. So I do the same gesture because, again, this is clarity. For example, if I'm doing something with a spectator and I want him to do, for example, to cut the cards and look at one card, I always do the same gesture so that way he understands better. Because if I just say cut and look at one card, it will be like, I don't know. So then that's why I always, clarity is very important in Magic. So that's why I always say cut and look at one card, so they know what they're supposed to do. So I do the same thing here. Just 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now stop. And that's where the moment that I arrive to the matching card. And now I just like, oh no, it's not hard. It's good. Just to make sure, just so I don't die again. I don't get, in case I see some cards similar. So that's my reason to turn the cards face down. Just go. Okay, now 5, 6, or whatever. And just stop. Doesn't matter. It has to be 30.
Yeah.
And I'll take the next one and put it here. Of course, the 2 of hearts, because all of them are. And now this is the most fragile situation, the deck in his hand. So that's the first thing I take. I say one card at one number. I turn it, and since I have 6 cards here, I spread it a little bit. 1, 2 of hearts. Remember, since the cards were reverse counted, so those are not here. 1 card, the 2 of hearts at the whatever. And now this spectator turns, and it is the 2 of hearts, everyone explodes. But, thank you. But, what happens is, the spectator doesn't know how to react to that, because it's so strong. So what I do is that I finish the champagne bottle theory doing a sound, which is this. And now the spectator release all the emotion in a different way. And I will tell you exactly, but probably some of you must not trust me about this. So I want you guys to feel it. You will name this one, okay? I have 1 card here. I'll put it here. I will not look at the card. Sorry, I'll not look at the card. 1 card here is a prediction. You will name any card, it will be that card. Name any one you want.
7 of diamonds.
7 of diamonds. And exactly 7 of diamonds. Remember what you're feeling right now. Now look at the difference. I put 1 card here. Is my prediction. It would name any card, it would be exactly the card. So name any one.
7 of diamonds.
7 of diamonds, and exactly the 7 of diamonds. You see how you feel? It's different. You now feel more comfortable to explode yourself in applause or send innovations or just going in on top of the chairs like, oh. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Good. Any questions about that? I will come back to every one of these effects little by little.
Just
but
the initial, did you force the 2 of hearts? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I will come back. With that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
take a little break?
And then I come back and I do a recall very fast of what's happening, and I just add a few things that I didn't explain before center.
Let's
Is that
take
okay for you guys?
Yep, let's take a short break, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Take a short break. Yeah, yeah.